Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on match day. Arsenal taking on Liverpool later tonight in the Carabao Cup semi-final, second leg at the Emirates, 0-0 after the first leg at Anfield, all to play for tonight. Can't wait for this one. I think it's going to be one hell of an atmosphere at the Emirates tonight. Tickets like gold dust. Apparently I've been seeing all week on social media people desperately trying to get hold of tickets and others saying they're just none available at the moment. It's a big sellout. Lots of Liverpool fans going to be there as well. Just feels like it's going to be a really good atmosphere. Plenty of added spice as well, given what has gone on in this tie, or certainly before that first leg that was cancelled by Liverpool. Just going to add that little bit extra bit of spice. There should be a cracking night of cup football at the Emirates. Has to be decided tonight, obviously, either on extra time or penalties if it's not decided after 90 minutes. So looking forward to that one. I will be at the Emirates, so please do keep an eye out. I'll try and do my usual stuff before the game, live broadcast of the warm-ups and giving my team news reaction, that sort of thing. So keep your eye out for that one if you're not lucky enough to be at the game tonight. I will talk about that match a little bit later on in this video in terms of team news and trying to pick a predicted 11, which, trust me, is going to be really, really hard for this one. Because we're not sure what exactly who is available. Mikel keeping that very close to his chest yesterday at the press conference, saying he didn't want to give anything away, saying he also didn't know at this stage as well, because so many of the players have got doubts over injury status and that sort of thing. So I'll try and do a predicted 11, but I'm sure I'm going to be absolutely horribly wrong, and also a little bit team news. But we'll start first of all with some news. Quite a lot of news floating around at the moment. We'll start with Arthur, shall we? And the latest on him. I wrote a story that went live on Goal yesterday, sort of late in the afternoon, that his agent was in town, flew over to London yesterday, was at London Colney for face-to-face meetings with Edu. Federico Pistori, he was with Edu at London Colney all afternoon yesterday, face-to-face talks. Arsenal hoping to push through this deal for Arthur that they've been after for a while. Alone until the end of the season is what they want. Juventus still holding off though and not giving it the green light. And we'll see what happens in the coming days if Arsenal can push this on. I mean, it was quite a big step, I think. Arthur's agent actually, flying into London, having these talks at London Colney, both Arthur and Arsenal, there's no issue there. Both of them want the move. Arthur wants to come, he wants to play in the Premier League, he wants to come to Arsenal, and Arsenal want to take him. It's just a matter of getting Juventus to give in the green light to the deal. It seems like, from speaking to people who are very close to Juventus over in Italy, that they are pushing potentially for a longer sort of agreement than just a straight loan until the end of the season, which is what Arsenal want. But it seems like Juventus potentially want a slightly longer loan, and maybe with some sort of option or obligation to buy. And Arsenal, I can understand not really wanting to commit to that at the moment, because I still think that Arthur might well be more of a sort of short-term option before in the summer they really push ahead and try and get themselves a long-term central midfield target in. So still some negotiations, still some talks to go, but you feel like the fact that Arthur's agent was flown over to London yesterday, had meeting at London Colney, that they're really sort of ramping up the pressure now. Now, Arsenal want to get this done as soon as possible. You can understand that. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, it's been a few weeks since he went to Roma now. That's left them one midfielder down. The good news is that Thomas Partey is obviously coming back. Well, he's due back today in London. I'll talk about that a little bit later on in this video. So that's going to ease the pressure slightly on the midfield. You've still got Mohamed El-Neni to come back as well once Egypt finish their campaign at AFCON. So the midfield issues are slightly beginning to ease, but even so, Arsenal do want to bring Arthur in and just to add another body into that squad to give them the cover they need to get through the second half of the season. So that's one that is continuing to bubble along, but at the moment Juventus still playing a little bit of hardball and not quite giving it the green light. Okay, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, let's move on to him, shall we? Some quite big developments in terms of Auba at the moment. A couple of things going on. We'll start with transfer news when it comes to Aubameyang. Arsenal have received an offer for Aubameyang. Came in earlier in the week. It was from Al Nassr, the Saudi Arabian team. James Benge over at CBS reported that yesterday, and he's spot on. I can confirm that is absolutely right, that Arsenal have received this offer. It arrived on Tuesday. At the moment, Arsenal haven't replied to it. They haven't given a firm decision in terms of what they are going to do. Are they going to accept it? Are they not? And I can understand why at the moment. Now, the offer is for a loan until the end of the season, then an obligation to buy it in the summer. It's for about sort of 6.7 million pounds, which might not be a lot, but you think it would get Aubameyang's 340 grand a week wages off the wage bill, and that is a hell of a saving for a player that, let's face it, is beginning to look like he's very much not in Mikel Arteta's plans at the moment. So although the transfer fee isn't huge, what you'd save over the course of this 6 months and then the following season as well, because Aubameyang's still got 18 months left on his contract, would be very, very big, and that's why it's an appealing one for Arsenal. The issue is, though, can they really afford to let Aubameyang go now without bringing in a replacement? Now, we know Arsenal want to sign a striker. We've heard all the stuff about Vlahovic. There's other strikers as well that they're looking at. Jonathan David, they've held talks with his agent recently. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a player that Arsenal very much admire as well. And so it's, what do they do? Unless you're going to get one of those now, which it's just proving very, very difficult because it always is in January. If you don't get one of those now, can you really afford to let Aubameyang go and leave yourself with just basically Lacazette and Eddie Nketiah as your only central strikers? You do have Gabriel Martinelli as well who can play there, but I think we're beginning to see at the moment in his stage of his career, he's more threatening off the left-hand side than he is as a central striker. So can you really afford yourself to do that? All it takes is one serious injury to Alexandre Lacazette and you're basically going through the second half of the season chasing Champions League football with just Eddie Nketiah as your central striker. I'm not sure you can do that. The only issue there is that it's not guaranteed that Aubameyang is going to be available even if he does stay, because we don't exactly know what's happening with his situation at the moment. He was out of the squad altogether before Christmas, before he went away to AFCON because of the whole issue of the disciplinary breach and being stripped of the captaincy. Is that a relationship that Arsenal could mend and get through till the end of the season if he stays? So there's lots of things up in the air when it comes to Aubameyang right now, and I think that is really becoming an essential thing for Arsenal. They have to sort out one way or the other what is going on with him and the striker situation, because time is running out. We've got 12 days to go, I think, till the transfer window shuts, and it just, the closer it gets to that, you kind of feel like Arsenal's season is beginning to revolve around this issue, because if they don't sort it out, it could leave themselves really light in the second half of the season. So one way or the other, they've got to either reject this bid, get Aubameyang back into the picture, mend the relationship between him and Mikel Arteta, and make sure he's there for the second half of the season, that he can be called upon. Even if he's not starting, he can be called upon and he can, be a valuable member of the squad, because Arsenal are going to need him. And if not, then they need to accept this offer. Make sure Aubameyang wants to go, because we don't know if that's the case or not. But if he does, accept the offer, get him out and get a striker in, because if you don't, then you're going to leave yourselves really, really short. So it's just beginning to feel like it's a really, really key thing at the moment. There is another complication, obviously, and that is we don't exactly know what's going on with Aubameyang's health at the moment. He came back from AFCON early with Gabon, the FA saying that he had these sort of heart complications after COVID. Now, Arsenal aren't exactly too sure what's going on with that. They've not had any confirmation yet or proof really from the Gabon FA about exactly what has been picked up. Aubameyang has arrived back in London now, and Arsenal are sending him to a specialist in London for checks to try and work out exactly what's going on, because they haven't heard anything from Gabon or had any proof or confirmation of it, so they need to check it out for themselves, and that is what's happening at the moment. Mikel Arteta was speaking about it at his press conference yesterday. He said that Aubameyang feels fine, he's happy to be back in London, but it's something they need to sort out. And some of the quotes I thought were quite interesting in it. It was almost like, we need to sort it out because we can't have this rumour being out there that he's got this problem with his heart, because that's going to put off potential buyers. I can't remember the exact quote, but you have to have a look at it. It was in yesterday's press conference. But it certainly sort of stuck out to me. Like, it was almost a case of, these rumours are out there now that has been put out by the Gabon FA, and this could really affect our position to possibly sell him, because we've never had any proof of this or picked up anything in any of the checks we've ever done with Aubameyang. So that's going to be an interesting one, and it does complicate things even further a bit in terms of a potential sale of Aubameyang. So, it's a really key issue that Arsenal have got to get a grip on. They've got to sort it out one way or the other, because so much of this second half of the season depends on it, because you can't really go into it just with Lacazette and Nketiah as your central strikers when you're chasing the top four. That's a big, big risk in my opinion. A couple of other bits of news before we get on to the Liverpool game today. The FA are currently looking at an issue. I'm sure you've seen this story that the suspicious betting patterns around a Arsenal player getting a yellow card at some point during the Premier League this season. It was a story that was written by The Athletic yesterday, and the FA have confirmed that they are looking into the issues surrounding these unusual betting patterns. From what I understand at the moment, the FA, they're not actually investigating any player at this point. There's no formal investigation of any player at this point. What they're doing is just looking at the issues surrounding these betting patterns. They'll be working with the Gambling Commission, that sort of thing, to work out exactly what's going on. But at this stage, there is no formal investigation by the FA about it. They're just looking into it and looking at the issues surrounding it because they've been made aware of it, made aware of these sort of standout suspicious betting activities around a potential player getting a yellow card in a Premier League game. So that's one to keep an eye on. In terms of what Arsenal are saying, Arsenal aren't giving any sort of public statement of it, but they are aware of the situation. But at the moment, it's very much with the FA and the Gambling Commission. So it's one to keep an eye on. But certainly, as far as I'm aware at the moment, there is no actual formal investigation by the FA in terms of any player. It's just very much they're looking into the issues surrounding it. So that's one to keep an eye on. And in terms of Thomas Partey, as I mentioned earlier on this video, he is due back in London today. From what I understand, Arsenal are expecting him back today. Which is pretty remarkable, really, when you consider and he feels like he left for AFCON like yesterday almost. But Ghana having that horrible group stage, going out, really shock defeat there to Comoros on the final day of the group stage. They've got out of the competition, and potentially Thomas Partey could even be available for the weekend game against Burnley, which is quite remarkable, really. That would mean he wouldn't even have missed a single Premier League game if he is involved in that one. I'm not exactly sure on if he has to isolate or not. Hopefully he doesn't, and he will just be able to come straight back into the squad. You also have the issue of mentally, how is Thomas Partey going to be feeling, because it will be such a massive disappointment for him what happened with Ghana. So maybe Arsenal have to tread a little bit carefully with him there rather than throwing him straight back in. But I think given the midfield issues at the moment, given the fact that Granit Xhaka will miss the Burnley game through suspension, if Thomas Partey is here and he's fit, then I wouldn't be surprised if he goes straight back into the team on Sunday against Burnley. So really sad news for Thomas Partey in terms of what happened with Ghana at AFCON, but for Arsenal it's a massive unexpected boost. And so that's the latest on Thomas. Unfortunately, he won't be available for the Liverpool game tonight, but still, I think the fact of having him back for Burnley would be massive. But in terms of that Liverpool game, wow, what a match we are waiting for tonight. Team news wise for Arsenal, certainly Martin Odegaard is back training. I reported that a couple of days ago after his COVID. After being testing positive for COVID and having to isolate, he's been back training the last couple of days, so I fully expect him to be involved at the moment. Mikel Arteta at the press conference yesterday, as I said, not giving much away and saying there's still plenty of issues surrounding Arsenal's squad, but a lot of the players who have been injured have been involved in training one way or the other in the last couple of days, and so you would hope that a sort of patched up team can be put together today, even if some of them are carrying injuries. I expect a lot of the players who have been sort of doubts, or certainly were doubts ahead of the Tottenham game, could be back involved. I don't think Cedric, I think he's definitely still out, but the likes of Smith Rowe, Tomiyasu, Kieran Tierney, I think that they've got a good chance potentially of being involved in this one. So that's good news for Arsenal, could potentially look like they have quite a strong side out apart from that midfield issue, and that's the big one, isn't it? What happens? You got Sambi there, but who else have you got? No one really. I mean, you got Charlie Patino. Would you throw him straight in? I highly doubt it. Against Liverpool, we saw he struggled a little bit against Nottingham Forest in his first start, to then throw him in against Liverpool in a semi-final of a major competition. That's a big ask. So what else do you do there? Because you haven't really got any other options. You got no Partey, you got no Xhaka, you got no El Neni. Ainsley Maitland-Niles has gone. So what do? Do you go potentially with more of a sort of 4-3-3 type thing that we've seen in the past? You can play Odegaard there, have him slightly ahead of Sambi, but it's going to put a lot of pressure on Sambi to be that out-and-out holding midfielder, which I'm not sure he really is he? He's more of the player who can play ahead of the defensive pivot in midfield. So it's going to be interesting to see what Mikel goes for in here. You could potentially even play Ben White there if you want to. It's a position he's played before. Do you play him alongside Sambi Lokonga, and then you could potentially play Rob Holding at centre back alongside Gabriel? You could play Tomiyasu there and then play Callum Chambers, if he's fit, at right back. You could play Callum Chambers there as the centre back. So there are options. They're not ideal ones, but there are options for Mikel to go with. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what he does go for. Personally, I've got a feeling he might end up doing a bit of a 4-3-3 and maybe playing Odegaard. We've seen him do it before. It's different versions of success. I think they did it up at Burnley when they won 1-0, but then they also did it in that Crystal Palace game where it was 2-2 and they didn't play very well. And he's kind of steered away from it since that game. Maybe just out of necessity almost, he does that again tonight. So we'll wait and see that one. So my predicted 11. Now, this is going to be wrong. I know it's going to be wrong. It's so hard to call. We don't exactly know who's going to be fit. But this is what I'm going for today. I think Ramsdale will get the nod in goal. I'm going to go for Tomiyasu, White, Gabriel and Tierney. So full strength back four, fingers crossed. And then I'm going to go with Sambi, Lokonga and Martin Odegaard in the sort of 2, but it almost is going to be more of a sort of 4-3-3. And I'll have Saka, Lacazette as the 10, Martinelli and Smith Rowe and Odegaard with Lokonga. There you go. Smith Rowe and Odegaard with Lokonga. Then Saka, Martinelli and Lacazette as a sort of front three. So it's almost like a 4-3-3. That's what I'm going to go for. I'm pretty sure it's going to be wrong. But let me know what you think. Who should Arsenal start in 11 be tonight? Drop it down in the comments below. Interested to see what you guys have got to say. All right, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Everyone, appreciate your time as always. Like I said, I will be at the match today, so keep your eyes peeled. If you want to watch the live stream before the game, talk about the team news, have a watch of the warm-ups, then keep your eyes peeled. I will be posting that as usual, probably about, half an hour before kickoff it normally is. And for everything else, if you want to keep up to date, anything that breaks today, Arsenal news, please do keep checking my social medias, at Charles_Watts on Twitter. You'll find me on Facebook as well. And keep checking goal.com for all your Arsenal news. Have a great day, everyone. See you later tonight.